Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Heart to Heart series. Today, we're going to talk about it's time for a new legacy. And I know you're going to agree with me once we talk about it. So, my name is Deetra Dennis, and I am the founder of Full Circle Health Coaching LLC. And I'm also the heart health coach to Black women who value, own, and invest in their health. And I empower them with evidence based and culturally relevant lifestyle interventions that support them as they live at their optimal heart health. Now, here at Heart to Heart series, it's really our girl talk. It's our opportunity to talk from the heart about the heart over a glass of wine. And our wine of choice is hibiscus tea because it lowers it relaxes the blood vessels and it lowers the blood pressure. So, because we're about heart health over here, that is our red wine of choice. And so, before we get into the content, I do want to ask, well, first of all, I want to say thank you. It has been 12 weeks since I started with the Heart to Heart series, and I saw on my dashboard that I had 1,000 views. So thank you so much for that. Now, the other part though is that is those that have not subscribed. So I would love you to become a part of the family. Thank you for viewing. I really do appreciate it. But come on and join the family and just subscribe. It's free. Just subscribe to the channel and like the video. And the other part is that to share it with others so that they can benefit from the information that you're receiving while you're here. And then, I love for you to comment below and we can have dialogue in the comment section. Even though it's not live, we can still have dialogue. You send your comment and I will respond. And we can have great dialogue. Again, girl talk virtually in the chat. Okay. I would love for that to happen. But again, thank you so much for the views. This is a passion and an opportunity to be of service to you. So I thank you. Can't thank you enough for that. So let's now go ahead and pour up your red wine. And this is the one with the cinnamon. So, anytime you see the little sediment on the top, I have the one with the cinnamon in it. But anyway, go ahead and pour up your wine. Cheers to you. And let's talk about it's time for a new legacy. Now, I can't remember, maybe 3 or 4 videos ago, I talked about it runs in the family. And I mentioned that it's your genes load the gun, but it's lifestyle that pulls the trigger. So as I was preparing for today, a few quotes, me and my quotes, a quote came to mind. So bear with me. And if you see me looking down, I'm looking at my notes. So this quote says, I can't go back and change the hands of time, but what I can do is create a new legacy. And so before we get into it, let's define legacy. So I looked up legacy and there were many definitions, but one that stood out and what applies to what we're talking about today is that anything handed down from the past as from an ancestor or a predecessor. So, we talked about the diabetes, the high blood pressure, heart disease, all of those things may run in your family. But you know what? It doesn't have to remain that. It's, yes, our genes predispose us to whatever that condition is. But, let's just think about it. Really, it's probably the unhealthy habits or unhealthy behaviors that has been passed down that has us as a community with the health statistics of leading in all of the chronic conditions. Can you agree with me? It can be. Again, the genes, we know the genes may be there, but we don't have to turn them on. We can keep them at bay by making healthy lifestyle choices. You with me? All right, I want you to hang in there with me now because we're going to talk about some things that, may be uncomfortable, but we have to talk about these uncomfortable things in order to get us to our health goal of living at our optimal heart health. Okay. All right. So now I want to ask you this. Now, have you ever like really stepped back and looked at your family and observed the health conditions that truly have run in your family for generations? Have you sat back and looked at that and observed and like, you know what? Enough is enough. I've just had enough. Or think about this, when you have been acting out of character and your mom says, okay, I've had enough of this, and things quickly get into order. Let's have that same sense of urgency and passion about we've had enough of seeing our statistics for our community leading in all of these chronic conditions, and we can turn the page and change that. You agree with me? And I would love for you to comment in the section below, and for us to have a dialogue after this. But let's turn the page, because our future is bright, and we can write our new future and create a new legacy. You agree with me? All right. So here are three things that I feel will help in creating that new legacy. And, it's not just about talking about it. Yeah, we are frustrated, but we have to put some action, to our words. And it starts with the person in the mirror. And just again, going back to my journey, I know for me, when at 9 years old, my cousin was in her 20s that passed away from obesity, which she had a heart attack, but it was complications of obesity. And then when I became a nurse at the age of 28, I had a patient in his 20s passed away, complications. He had a heart attack, again, complications of obesity. And so even to this day, I'm like, okay, I have to do something about this. I remember at 9 saying, okay, this can't be normal, after seeing an uncle with amputation. Uncle that went blind because of diabetes, amputation, strokes, all of those things. Even to this day, I still say I have to do something about it. But it all started with me. I felt that I needed to make a change, be an example, and then not force anyone, but just from my lifestyle, others may, want to make the lifestyle changes as well. But anyway, I digress. The three ways that we can make the change, right? And that we can turn the page and start a new chapter. Number one, collect your family health history. I know this one, maybe may feel a little uncomfortable when you're having the conversation, but I'll give you an example is that, and be sure you're doing it, collecting that from both sides of your family. You can do this, make it conversational, not a project, not a science project, but really make it conversational. And I do this I don't know if my family, look, I'm telling on myself now, but during the holidays, when we are gathered together, I usually, they're having conversation, talking about, talk about granny, I talk about papa, or, an aunt or an uncle or family members. And, I'll just interject and ask the question, like, what happened to them, kind of thing. And so that helps me. I'm gathering information that helps me, like, okay, we've had family members who died early or what have you. So that is a way to have the conversation. To collect the information. If you have elderly family members that are still around, they will share information with you openly, just sit and have a chat with them. Or, many times history is inside of that family Bible that is on the table. They usually have the date of someone's birth, and they may have the birth certificates, or the date of someone's death, or the death certificate. And the death certificate will have that information on there for you as well. So that is one way to collect the information. Like I said, having conversation during a gathering, or asking an elderly member or family member, or looking in that family Bible that's on the table. It may be in there. And so those are some ways to collect the information. And once you have it, share it with other family members that may not know about the family history. You also want to know the age, if they know it, the age that the person was diagnosed with whatever the condition was, and the age of their death. You want to know that. All of this is helpful because when you go to the doctor, they usually ask about your family history, the age of the person, if when they were diagnosed, and if they passed away, the age of their death. So this will help with completing your health history when you go to the doctor. And then, like I said, share it with family members. The second thing, once you receive that information, share it with your healthcare provider. And once you share that information with your healthcare provider, it is so important now to know your numbers. Knowing what your numbers are really matter. Knowing what your blood pressure is, knowing what your cholesterol levels are, knowing all of that information will help you, equip you so that you know what to do to improve your health, and truly knowing what the normal ranges are. I just have to stick a pin in this 1 second because you guys, well, I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm sharing with you that I always, always, always try to make sure that I am enrolling in continuing education, or taking a class or a webinar so that I stay abreast of all of the evidence that is coming out as it relates to heart health, women's health, and in particular, Black women's health. And I'm not sure if you guys are aware that, I talked about the consequences of uncontrolled blood pressure. I think when I said check yourself before you wreck yourself, but uncontrolled blood pressure, I mentioned some, but this one came out that the Alzheimer's, the numbers are rising and at younger ages, but uncontrolled blood pressure, science has shown that uncontrolled blood pressure, as well as blood sugar for diabetes as well, puts people at risk. And this is like as early as 50 years old with a diagnosis of Alzheimer's or the umbrella diagnosis of dementia. So this is why it's important to know your numbers and knowing what is in range, because I've heard many people and even some physicians are saying that your blood pressure, if a person has a blood pressure of 130 over 90, that's good. That is not good. That is not good. We want lower numbers because the lower the number, the less stress on your heart. So remember, again, when I talked about check yourself before you wreck yourself, the normal blood pressure, a normal blood pressure is less than 120, the top number, and less than 80, the bottom number. So remember that, knowing your numbers are key. So just as a recap, because I did do a little, added a little extra there. So number one, we want to collect our family health history. Number two, once we have collected that history, we want to share that with our healthcare providers so that they can order the appropriate screenings or diagnostic tests for you, and then you know your numbers. Lastly, you know what I'm going to say, make the healthy lifestyle changes so that we can truly create that new legacy, a legacy of health for the generations to come, right? So those are the three things that I feel will help us change the narrative, because we need to change the narrative. We are leaders, we are change makers, and we can change being leaders in these chronic conditions, but being leaders in health, right? By making these healthy lifestyle choices. So I have really enjoyed our time together, and I hope that this has been of value to you and supports you as you create a new legacy for your family, for your bloodline, right? And so I invite you to get social with me on Facebook at Full Circle Health Coaching LLC. And if you would like to receive my weekly newsletter, you're welcome to go over to fullcirclehealthcoachingllc.com. And I have that description of all of that, the links to those in the description below. And I like to remind you of this. I love quotes because it really helps as an affirmation for you. So as a reminder, you know that you are the full circle, and within you is the power to create, nurture, and transform. So until next week, activate your power so that you can create a new legacy.